Sometimes the best thing you can do is just getting started on that project. See, this is going to act like a part 2 for the tour of the Mechanyx Minecraft server. If you saw part 1, I'm in the process of building the Space Colony ARK. It's not done in time for when the server is going to close. However, because I started, there's a lot of things I learned about doing that I can carry over into next time. And you can still get a tour of how much I got done of Cannon's Core this go around too. But the overall point of this video is, if you clicked on it, most likely to just get started. And it doesn't even have to be a video or YouTube and the such either. It can really be about anything, because in some cases, the lessons and experiences you're going to gain from finally getting started, sorry, what am I cooking? Okay, cool, is going to benefit you even if you don't succeed. Real failure in some cases is actually just never beginning. Because in some cases, the things you learn from finally at least starting, while you might not be at the goal you wanted to be at, sure, that's a valid way to feel, but you will still gain an incredible amount of experience to carry over into next time, or to do something better next time, etc. To the point, this video's existence is even like that. I wanted to keep working for maybe another couple more hours and then record at the last minute. And then I thought about the fact of the server could just straight up close. I mean, we'll get the world file, so I'll be able to keep working it on my own. But as for the server world file, this is going to be it kind of locked in time. And then people can do their own edits when they have it themselves. But my point is, instead of stressing over, oh, I'm never going to get this video done because I'm never going to get as far as I want to get, or I could just start on it. And then you watching at this point are like, yeah, I wish you would have waited, because what is this? Fair. This video exists as an example of the concept I'm talking about, but this concept can be applied to art, it can be applied to work, it can be applied to so many other things too. But yeah, I would encourage anybody that if you're on the fence about starting a project, especially if it's a project you do want to do, find a way to just start. So as we start with this tour, for example, we're back inside the dome. The last time we did the inside tour, the core room had barely been built. Now we have about half a Cannon's Core relative to the build I did back in 2012. So this is the hallway towards the end of Eggman's section, for example, and that would be more of Eggman's section that I'll work on after this video, depending on how long this video is. This is the part where you drop into Knuckles' section. And then down there would be Rouge's section, as a matter of fact. And one of the things we did, if you didn't see part 1, which is fine, this Space Colony ARK is being built out of more survival mode material because it was faster and easier to get. So even though we technically made it as far as we did on the Season 0 server, like this is the hallway, you would come down, hit the little switch, there's boxes usually shooting out of here, and then you like hit a switch up here, there's artificial chaos tries to jump you. There's a lot of detailing and stuff not done, a lot of things built out of stone this time, but what it meant was I could always replace it later, but let me actually just get it started, because then now at least there's at least half of Cannon's Core done. I had like 8 different stages mapped out for the interior of the Ark, by the way, but you know, life happens, and that's another thing too. Sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes that is going to be a thing. It's about to be nighttime, even though we're indoors, just in case I missed a spot. We don't want to get jumped by a random dude in a corner, a dark alleyway. Skeleton, zombie, creeper, Wolverine, all would be terrifying. So you would go down here, by the way, so you'd open the final security door. This would be like the tunnel for Sonic's section, and then you would come out here. You have to hit a switch before the artificial chaos hits you, and then you would make your way over here to the rest of Sonic's section. But that is a thing in life, right? Where sometimes it's like, oh, I really wanted to record or do this thing or start this thing or debut this thing, or, you know, a ton of things before X date or at a certain point, or it'd be nice to do it in the summer, etc. And then sometimes life happens and you're like, you completely don't have the opportunity to do it in the summer. This is the final part of Sonic's part. You come around this hallway, you'd hit a switch, flip under here to this red tunnel, that would take you to the waterway. And much like waterways, sometimes the flow of life just carries you regardless of what your plans were. And it's not on you for being a terrible planner necessarily. Sometimes life really likes to throw some cogs and wrenches into those cogs, if you will. This is where you fight the Bio-Lizard, by the way. The shrine, which I don't think was built at all. The pillars with little chaos emeralds, or at least stand-ins for chaos emeralds on the top of them. And then the core room, which I filled in with some stuff. It was going to have a more of a cooler design, but that's my point. If I want this video to exist, for you to see this point, I gotta do it now, as is. I can always edit it later, and I'm gonna always make another video later if I get the world file this time. The last time I tried to get the world file for Season 0, it corrupted, so we don't actually have Season 0. But maybe, you know, we can, this one will go different, and you'll see this again in said completion situation. But that's also a thing, too, that I want to bring up, specifically for the reason of, sometimes you can revisit something. You can draw something, for example, and go, I don't like how that was drawn, and then decide to just draw it again. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to look at something and go, I think I've learned some things since last time. Let's run this back and such. By the way, Seal, on a side note, if you're watching this video, I had a bunch. Seal was doing Botana, but the Hocus Pocus, the plant stuff. Okay, you know I'm terrible with words. So if we go into here, this is like their underground base area. They have a bunch of cool stuff over here. Then I noticed they had saplings over here for different stuff that they were growing. You can go in here and actually just take wood out if you want to. So I mentioned I got some like white sakura, which is fantastic, by the way, a fantastic color of red. Merlin, Magnolia. I went exploring and I found some stuff. So I did put those saplings down, by the way, on spawn as like a final touch for the world file goes out. Another thing I decided to do to talk about this lesson a bit more is I brought back the great grand Gamerson Mansion. The Gamansion, if you will. I used to call it the Black House. It just does not sound like a great name. Now, where is it, you might be wondering? So it got destroyed. So I had to rebuild it. And so I did. There we go. So, I'm just kidding. The thing just, for some reason, faces us this way when we spawn in, even though I put it down this way. But yeah, I brought back this house that I've built like 3 times now on each server. And even it's not complete, and then because we're on all the mods 10 instead of 9, there's not concrete stairs, so we had to figure things out. And the house isn't done, but I still want to show you it anyways. You've seen it before, most likely, if you've seen my tours of the Mechanyx server, so it's not terribly new. But you have, the massive kitchen area. The dining room table isn't there yet. You have the living room area. A lot of speakers and some lighting and stuff isn't there yet. Keyword being yet, and that's important. You got the library, but it's not a library yet. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you start things, they're not there yet. And I guess that's the point I want to iterate. If nothing else that you get out of this video, sometimes you just need to start, and sometimes you might not be where you want to be yet, but that doesn't mean that's it. That's not the end all be all, unless you're turning in an assignment, I guess, or something like that, or a YouTube video you can't edit once it's uploaded, but you can maybe make a better video later. So I do want to encourage people to sometimes get started, because you will get paralyzed by planning too much. It's something that happens. So Steam, speaking of Mechanyx, he was streaming, and him and Etsuko were talking about different topics, and one of the things that I believe Etsuko brought up, we'll give her credit again, we don't have to tell her though, so it's fine. They brought up things like paralysis by analysis, because basically it's kind of like you're analyzing too much that you become paralyzed. It's almost like paralyzing by choice, even if you've heard that one too before, where because there's too many choices to make, you get paralyzed from making any choice, and then you just never do anything. Instinct by extinction, I got it wrong. This is the actual reason why we don't have to tell her that we brought this up and that we brought up that she was the one that told it, because verbatim she actually said it intelligently, and you know me with names. But the idea was there's 2 problems, right? You can either act too quickly with no proper execution and planning and then mess up, or you can never act because you're too busy planning too much and then you actually never get anything done. This house was a case in point example. The announcement went out like Thursday that the server's being closed Monday. I started building this house when I got that announcement, because I'm like, okay, cool. So instead of like plotting and planning every little bit of detail that I could for this, because I love building, so I do want to put some effort into building, I could instead just make the motion to just start and get as far as we can. So we do have a living room that does have a big screen. We do got some lighting going on. We do got some semblance of a kitchen. We do have an entire upstairs. The house is for the most part completed and operational, for a matter of fact. My room, that's usually, my room over here, as per usual, we haven't got the carpet down because I found some sheep, stuffed them in a hole, dyed them, breaded them a lot, sheared them, and then set them free afterwards. So we do got something of a room too, a TV, a desk area. Actually, we can't get out the desk. There we go. Sit here, put some monitors and stuff here, a bed, and I have to tell on myself because that's supposed to be red, so we can pretend it's red. But they're both mine anyways, as always, so it's fine. The giant walk-in shower situation and stuff like that for that one. Just a quick peek. Like we did still get some stuff done because I decided to finally act. Instead of being like, okay, we can keep planning and planning and planning, and maybe hopefully all Sunday evening, because all the planning was done, we just blitzed through stuff. Well, there's hiccups we came across the way. Some of them was also just design, right? This is the bamboo room. I decided to combine it with some sakura planks and some wooding and stuff, because that's a really nice kind of combo over here. But then it's funny because over here is cherry planks, there's cherry blossoms and stuff, and so I combined that with the sakura plank design on the floor for this room, and I gave them a TV over there like that too. So it's like you will find some unexpected problems sometimes that you will be able to solve because you started. because you just got started. It's like, okay, cool. So this was an issue, but because we're actually confronting it, instead of it being an unknown in the planning phase, we actually could get something done. This is like another bathroom. There's like a bathroom up there. That's what this was. This was another bathroom. This is the tub, curtains, you know, privacy. And no, it's not fully completed. That's part of the reason why, again, why I'm making this video, is to kind of put it out there and be like, hey, guess what? That is a thing. Storage. Eventually I'll have more chests. I don't know what I want this room to be yet. It's usually where the nether portal is. We have another portal, so it's fine. So maybe that'll just be an extra bedroom. There'll be like 15 bedrooms up in this joint, because this is obviously the basement bedroom. It's not done. The frame isn't even fully built on this one. Still got a TV though, just in case. And then of course the kind of the spa bathhouse situation. If you're in the basement, you get your own like mini bathhouse situation, and you still get a stand up like shower you can walk into, because why not? And then you got the window situation. But if anyone tries to peek, I put these cherry bushes so that way you would get poked if you tried. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. The point of this video is there is such a thing as timing, right? Like obviously if you're trying to celebrate someone's birthday, for example, you can't be like, well, I should just get started and we're just going to celebrate your birthday like 4 months and 14 days early. That's maybe not, you know, if you want to be pedantic, there's definitely certain situations where you probably should wait. But there's many other situations, especially on the creative standpoint, where waiting's not the play anymore. Algorithms are being figured out, and the Wild West of certain things aren't the Wild West anymore. But that doesn't mean that they're useless or pointless or there's no point in doing them. It just means, though, that you, much like most other people, do gotta just kind of finally get your feet wet. Get out, get in there. Don't hold your horses anymore. Don't keep your... actually, you probably should keep your pants on. I was going to go the opposite of a bunch of sayings, but that one, actually, you know what? It is blazingly hot, so you can do whatever you want in that specific case. Stay hydrated, please. And that's coming from me, all right? That doesn't drink water. Stay hydrated. It's going to be an interesting El Nino, I believe they said it was, or El Nino. Either way, it's the one that's really hot. So this island, for those of you that are on the server, by the way, all this island is directly west of spawn, in case you, when you get the world file, you're curious, like, where would I go to find the Gam mansion this time? It is usually right next to whatever mega build I'm doing. So the mega build we're doing is the Ark. There it is, way up there, right? Which means spawn is like right there's a cherry bunker, for a matter of fact, and cherry doll. Spawn is right there. It's just like 300 meters. It's right. If I had a higher rendering, you'd see spawn in like the back of Seal's restaurant right now. You'd be able to see the Ark right there. It's that close. I didn't go far. But I was like, you know what? Since I was using this island to plant a bunch of trees because I needed a bunch of wood for wooden planks and stuff, why not just build the house? Because then, even though the house isn't completed, even though the house isn't, or at least perfect, right? It's something that now, with the server coming to a close, I have mostly built, because the Ark is nowhere near complete. It's not going to be before the server even goes down. Also, this is gorgeous right here when the sun's rising with these shaders on, because all the mods 10 has built-in shaders. This looks fantastic. And then when the wind blows, this like leaves fly off of this, and it's actually really nice. I'm surprised no one else had built here, and I'm really sorry if someone else did plan on building here, though I've been on the server like for the past 4 days straight, building, and like no one's gotten on. So I don't want to say snooze you lose, but I will say sorry nonetheless. So we'll check on a couple of things that we didn't get to see last time, a couple of bases that I found since last time, and we're gonna hope this thing doesn't crash. So for example, South Gubistan, which I believe I mentioned Senko because they were on the server and towards the end of the first video we did for this. I believe this belongs to them, as a matter of fact. I don't want to go through it too much in that case. Though I think they have a different location that has their nuclear reactor, so this might not be their place. So sorry about that if I'm wrong about that. Also, I saw some hostiles, and I just don't want them to throw a spear, hit something, blow up half this base. So we're going to move on to the next place, because Longnose, you have some explaining to do. So in Mechanyx, we have Longnose, aka Vanaduke. And I found their base, and I almost screamed. And the reason I almost screamed is because it rendered bit by bit, and as a lot of enemies, right? The Wither. I thought two Withers and an Ender Dragon was just on the surface world, and I thought I was cooked because I thought I drew aggro as they were rendering in. A Wither, like a super ultra Wither, thing, and then the end. I'm like, I'm cooked. I'm out here exploring, looking for flowers, for dye machines. I was not prepared to fight 3 like in-game bosses, so appreciate that, Long Nose. Appreciate that a lot. But it is a really cool looking base. But those are 2 of the bases that I believe I hadn't found last time, was Senko and Long Noses. And then we can return to the Space Colony ARK, little chaos control. There's a lot that we didn't get finished this time either. And if the world file doesn't corrupt, we can finish it on our own, and that's great. But that's why I would also encourage people to, even if it's in small steps, get started, right? The thing about this build is I built it in sections, room by room. I went, okay, cool, this is the mapping area for how we're going to do Cannon's Core, the little tunnel area, the Sonic section some more, the tunnel that takes you back to Knuckles and Rouge's section, essentially. Knuckles' is section up top, Rouge is down below. Eggman's section, which goes around there. And if we go by the 2012 build, it goes, so for the 2012 build, the arc was, I only did 32 out in each direction, because the height limit was also only 64. So a lot of the turns and designs that I did was because we're hitting the edge of the wall of the arc, basically. So that was like that, and it was actually even more angular because that was actually just like the edge of the arc right there. So we had to turn it. We had to turn that way. When we got to Eggman's section, there's a room, like a hallway, and then there's a drop pit section, like when he drops down that pit with the green acid at the bottom looking stuff. It immediately had to turn because that was a wall there, and so I just wrapped it around to Tails' section, and then all this was like his section, to a long drop that goes up here because the height limit again was only 32, so this was only like 16, and then the top 16 I made the central control room. So around here would be the entrance, basically the Cannon's Core, and then you'd have like, you know, the central control room up there, the lab where Shadow first woke up, at least based on the cutscene in Shadow the Hedgehog 2005. Now that Shadow Generations hit, it might actually be the same thing. But the point is, originally in that build, I had, you know, Lost Colony, Space Gadget, Crazy Gadget. I had all of it. I have it all, and I have it all mapped out for this, but we got like twice to 4 times as much space. So I'm still doing the same designs, and then if we have more room, I can always, again, point of the video, go back and improve on it. Speaking of Steam and Etsuko in that conversation, another thing that Steam once said that I believe really Etsuko, myself, a lot of people have actually said, for that matter, focus on creating it first, then make it perfect after. And what that means is focus on building something, creating something, drawing something, editing something, rendering something, modeling something, working on something. Make it first. Then you can go and make it perfect. When I built that first ARK build back in 2012, it was a hexagon. It wasn't even a circle. This is a lot of circles. And it's actually not perfect. There's a couple errors I'm not really going to point out, but from a distance, it looks good enough. And that's what starting sometimes means, is that in your head, it's never gonna be good enough because you're your own worst critic. But sometimes for everybody else, that's fine. I swear, these bunny slippers have beaten me up more than anything else in this entire server. I promise you, if there was the amount of, ooh. But yeah, if we just fall off the arc right now, right? Like it looks like the arc enough. If you don't start, you might never start. And then the worst thing about starting and feeling like, oh, it's not perfect, the plan's not perfect, all these things aren't perfect, is regret of never doing. That's not a feeling you want, even more so than any anxiety or stuff about not starting. Like a YouTube channel, for example. Here's the thing, when you're starting and you're worried about, well, what if I put out a video and such and such? What if I put out a video and no one's watching? Well, guess what? You not putting out a video is also still no one watching. So you're still at net zero at that point. But at least if you have a video out and you go through the process of making a video, editing a video, even if it hits 0, you still win more and learn more than if you don't do nothing, in which case you're still at 0. You see what I'm saying? No, that's fine, because I have rambled a bit too long. I should probably wrap this up. I thought about this, and I thought about making this video, which is why I thought about I had to try and make this house as fast as possible, even if it's not completed, to kind of accentuate the point that I'm kind of trying to make. People like Steam and stuff, if they're in the comment section, they could probably explain the parts I brought them up for better. In which case, thank you so much for watching this video. You don't have to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm more surprised that when I do these kind of videos, it's always surprising when people get this far. You ever had like a really, really good pizza? Really good cheesy pizza? If anything, your second extra topping was cheese. And then you realize you're lactose intolerant. What are you doing? That's a lot of dairy, that's a lot of cheese, hold on, what's going on here? But then, magically, surprisingly, for some reason, you just don't get sick. It's like that. And if you're like, that makes zero sense, well, now I'm just aware of who made it this far in the video, because some of y'all, some of y'all do, some of y'all don't, and it's fine. When I ramble, and when I'm in the edit, I'm gonna be like, man, can I just shut up? And again, this is more acting as a tour before the server possibly goes away, because again, if I lose the world file this time too, this is it. When it comes to the planning, right? Because I am saying just start. That doesn't mean you have to forego all planning specifically. What can that look like, just starting but still planning? Maybe have like ideas down. Spark note it. If it was a spark note situation like you would do in high school when you want to go over a book real quick for the notes and stuff, what would be like the skeleton of what you're trying to do? Even if you don't have all the meat in place yet, right? Like what is the spine, the core idea of what you're trying to accomplish? What are some of the goals you want? If it's making a YouTube video, for example, what if people were going to comment on your YouTube video, what are some of the comments you would like to see basically when you make that video? Is it, oh, hey, this was a great video. I enjoyed this video. I learned something. That was really funny. You know what I mean? Like, think about maybe not necessarily every single meticulous detail, but think about maybe some general broader things about, if I was going live because I was streaming, because you're more on the Twitch side, you want to be a streamer. What kind of topics can you talk to yourself about? Pretend that you already have a massive audience. Pretend you're Markiplier, right? And pretend there's already a lot of people in chat and you're just talking and bantering. And that way when people do wander in, they're wandering into a conversation that may be like, oh, hey, why are you talking about lactose intolerance and cheesy pizza? What happened there? And you're like, I'm glad you brought that up. And then you can just go from there. It's complicated. It's not pretty. It's not always perfect. But as long as you try, as long as you start, you might find that you don't need to be perfect. And that's the brilliance of effort. Is sometimes the effort you put in to finally start doing things and working on things shows you that you don't actually need to be perfected. You can be imperfect, but you can still, with your imagination, of course, be immaculate and find some great success in some other ways. So thank you so much for watching this video. Sometimes the pizza's hot and sometimes it's not. But I don't know which video will be next. We're just gonna have to wait and see. So until this time, take care and enjoy pizza responsibly. Thank you for watching. Also, thank you Bits and Steam. I know Bits has been hosting this thing for like 4 months. I know they came together to have this idea. I don't know how much that cost and to do that stuff, but this was enjoyable to do. Quick end of video update. Yeah, we've made some progress. That's the Eggman room. We're in the middle of Tails' section. We gotta even be careful. A little bit of platforming will be done. We would come down this hallway. The first security door that Tails has to destroy up here, as a matter of fact. Then you drop down into Eggman's section. This is the part I was talking about with the cylindrical area with the green acid kind of stuff at the bottom. And if we quickly bop up here, we got this room, which is now completed. I started putting ceilings on stuff too, because some of those ceilings end up being floors for other sections. But yeah, as we go on towards 3 a.m., the finale of the server here, progress. And that's my point. Just get started sometimes, because you also never know how far you can get if you finally just start. When I started the video, didn't think I'd even come close to finishing Cannon's Core. Second follow-up, Cannon's Core is done. It has some finishing touches, but the layout is done. Usually I'd have the central control room up there somewhere. You'd be able to kind of start there, drop in here. Let's not die for free. Come all the way down this long hallway where Tails starts and go through. So yeah, just begin, you coward. Stop making excuses. Now if you excuse me, I'm going home. I miss my wife, Tails. Nobody's gonna get that joke, and they're just gonna start naming people that they think I'm thinking about instead. So you know what? I'm going to bed. I can't. Anyways,